Hey guys, Sean T. Phillips here. Welcome to another volume of the Q&A series. I've been slowly making it through these questions. I've had these for a while, so some of the questions may be about things that have already come out. As soon as I get, these done, so I try and get through all of them, then I'll move on and do a new one of these. And then I go through them little by little over the coming weeks and months and stuff like that. Okay, the first question was, what was the weirdest and most strange experience in a movie? One of the weirdest ones I've ever seen, the butterfly effect. And I think I've talked about this once or twice in the past. But there was this guy with his mother, and he was like 50, and I see this guy with his mother in the movie theaters all the time, and he was asking all these strange questions about the movie, about Ashton Kutcher, and if this was what college was like. And I always thought that they should have done a commentary track with just him and his mother, what he was saying to his mother about this movie. It's like he obviously did not like the movie. And every time there was anything weird happening, he had to make a big thing. He was basically right behind me. The other one was, remember there's somebody too in one of the movies that had these keys or something, and for some reason he was shaking them around the entire movie. And then there's a couple other weird ones. They usually happen at the theater that's when I was in Maryland used to go to, which is now gone, the AMC Towson Commons, which it was one of those theaters I used to be able to walk to. So, I used to go there all the time. I used to start to walk in there when I was even in the sixth grade. So that was always one of my favorite theaters. But it really wasn't really that great. There was mice in this theater, and they were crawling on the walls. But it was back then, it was kind of well, I wanted to go to the movies. I could walk to it. I didn't have to, get driven there or anything like that. So it was so easy to get to that I was oh, might as well just put up with this. But I saw mice and all kinds of stuff. And this is the theater too that I remember. I guess a weird thing that they used to have there when I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8, they used to have Taco Bell in the theaters, and it was the biggest disaster. I remember they had it. They didn't even have a setup to have it really. It was basically just where they would put the popcorn machine and all that kind of stuff. They put in a station where they made tacos, and they only really had chicken and beef, the two or three different things. And I remember it was always a nightmare. And when you wanted it, they had to open the thing up. I'm sure this stuff was old. That was just a weird thing they used to do in the movies. And I don't know if any of you guys were ever in a theater that, let me know if you ever were at one years back that had that. I don't know if it was just some weird thing that maybe some movies were starting to do just for some weird reason. I don't know. What do you think about the upcoming movie, This Is the End? Well, that's already been out, and I really did like that one. If you be cast in any movie remake and play any part, what would it be? I think if they remade, I think they are doing a sequel to it. A new follow up. If they did National Lampoons, it would be amazing to play what John Candy did in that, that kind of a part. Or I don't know what other kind of remake would be so cool to be involved with. More if they did a sequel to if they ever finally did the Bill and Ted, or they finally made a new Pee-wee movie. Those would be really cool to be involved in. Hey there, great video here. Questions: are you going to come to the UK? No, I would love to, at some point get out there. That would be one of those things that I really would like to do. I know that the pain is I'm not the hugest fan of flying. I know it's a really long flight. I think you'd have to fly to New York first, which is already 7 hours, 6, 7 hours. Then you'd have to fly from New York to the UK because you can't go straight, on it, as far as I know. And you really would have to fly first class because, to sit in those small seats and stuff, I would never be able to handle that. So it would be very expensive. But, at some point, I definitely hope to do that. Because, those, you're a fat guy too, sitting in those tiny ass seats. People don't like it, and, you're squeezing in with people. So definitely have to be expensive flight. Can you give, if you know any release date info for the films that you have acted in? Well, I know Ghost Shark, Ghost Quake, which is known as Haunted Eye in the U.S., is in the markets in the U.K. I've seen pictures of it. So it seems like that is all over the place there. I think Haunting of Whaley House is out there now, and I'll let you know too when Ghost Shark airs there. I know The sci-fi movies, though, they play everywhere. So as soon as I know when that is, I'll let you know. In your opinion, what do you think of the new Carrie remake? I think it interesting. I think it looks okay. That's one of those ones too. I really want to do a spoof thing for. So hopefully, I'm not busy at the time, or I'm able to, maybe. It's hard to get, like, sometimes they have like those Gobo things, and I like to try and get to them a little bit earlier so I can put the review up a little bit early. Because then there's like so many reviews up. So if I do a spoof, I like to get it up a little bit earlier so more people see it. But that's one I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But also looking forward to what's coming up You're Next, and a couple other horror ones. It's like there's a couple of decent looking horror ones coming out in the coming months. But I definitely think she's an interesting casting choice for it. Not a lot, like the original, but I'm interested in seeing it. And it's technically like the second remake because they made the one with Angela Bates for TV, which was okay. In your opinion, which movie YouTubers would you recommend that people go and check out? Mainly the ones that I put on the side of my channel are the people that I look at, like Chris Stuckman, the Flick Pick, the Schmoes Know, like those people. And then there's a lot of the other bigger ones and stuff, like the really big people. But everybody knows who they are. But those are the ones. But like I watch a lot of too, like just kind of random videos on YouTube too. Like some of the stuff that goes viral every so often, I look at them. Like those things that the Fine brothers do, like those kids react to. Those are interesting series. That kind of stuff. How many questions can you have? Laugh aloud. Do you think any film that someone dies in is a horror film, even a Die Hard film, for example? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that just because someone dies in it. It has to be like the tone of the movie, and what's happening in it to be. I would say to be considered a horror movie. It wouldn't just be because somebody dies in it. There are some movies though where you can kind of say, oh, this is kind of a horror movie, this sort of isn't. But the Die Hard movies, I would just say, are way more of an action movie. I have U.S. Marshals, Trading Places, Alligator 1 and 2, House of Dracula, Sleepwalkers, The Others, Planet Terror to watch. Which ones would you recommend I first check out? Out of those ones, probably Trading Places and Planet Terror. What would I say were the first ones? I don't remember Alligator 1 and 2 very much. I think I liked Alligator. I don't think I ever saw part 2 of that. Favorite British actor. I think like my favorite like all-time character British actor is Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson. Like that to me is like a really. I wish he would do more movies, and I wish that Mr. Bean wasn't over because it pretty much sounds like he doesn't want to do it anymore, which is kind of a shame because the last movie was just okay. I really liked the Bean movie. I kind of had mixed opinions and things like that, but to me, I really liked the Bean movie. Mr. Bean's Holiday was okay, but it was kind of taken more for kids, a little bit more like because it was rated G in the U.S. and I don't know. I liked it, but it was a little bit not exactly the same Mr. Bean. It was more of a kids version of it. How'd you get involved with collecting, watching, and eventually acting movies? Was just something one day you were like, yeah, I want to do this, or was it something influenced you? Well, I've always kind of bought movies. I've talked about this stuff a couple of times, but I always remember, some of my favorite memories were like as a kid, going to the mall, going to Suncoast, going to the movie stores. Back in the beginning too, when there was Saturday Matinee, and all those kind of stores. There was was like Waves Music. There was people can post below some of the other ones, but there was like Record Town, tons of those ones, and going to driving up to Tower Records, and going when I went to Florida in downtown Disney. Like my favorite thing of going to Florida was going, and especially in the beginning, it kind of went downhill around before it closed, but going to Virgin Records and like those were some like my favorite things. So like always loved getting movies and finding weird stuff, and then like started like getting into kind of the more obscure movies because Borders Books used to have like the cult section and a really good horror section in the beginning. By the end, before they closed, they really didn't have anything like that. But you used to find all kinds of obscure kind of stuff there. But like getting into it was basically just from YouTube, and then from there was like I really enjoyed doing it, and then it was like different kind of things. How tall are you? As far as I believe 6'2". If you could be part of any major movie franchise, either directing or acting, what would it be? Probably like some of those, horror remakes that they've done, like, like if they ever do another Friday the 13th, or some of that kind of stuff would just be kind of cool to be involved with. What do you think about the Wreck films? Surprisingly, I've only seen the last one, the third one. Really, really like that one. I don't know why I have not seen the other ones. I've seen Quarantine 1 and 2, though. And I really like those. I like the second one a lot, though. Like, that one kind of had mixed opinions, but I thought it was kind of cool at the airport. I don't believe Wreck 2, though, I don't think was at an airport. Can you give the name of a film where a man cuts people's eyes out and gives them to his blind mom? Was banned. It's from the 80s. Had a health warning about making people sick. I don't think I've seen that. I don't know what that one is. Sean, when you're watching horror films, do you prefer hand special effects or computer generated effects? Well, it depends on kind of what it is. Like with slasher movies and like certain types of ones where it's really easy to do the effects, where especially like those kind of movies like slashers and Halloween and those kind of movies where effects are very simple and not super complicated. When it's a movie like certain movies, I don't mind effects in them, but it's really interesting with CGI effects in the movies, like how some movies you look at like Peter Jackson's movies where the CGI is like amazing, and then like R.I.P.D., which just came out, which was a fun movie, but the CGI in it was really not up to par with some of this stuff that's been coming out lately. It's just interesting how that happens and how they allow it sometimes to come out looking like that and when they're also big budget movies. It kind of seems like the really big budget movies, especially this summer, of kind of losing the interest in it. A lot of the ones like they're expecting to do well have done pretty poor. So I kind of feel like down the line we're gonna not see as much of those movies made. And there's only going to be ones where they really know. That's why they keep on making movies like Fast and Furious and stuff. I don't think it's because people really, really want them. It's because they know they're going to make a lot of money because people are going to go to them, and like they're low risk movies. So I kind of feel like it's going to be more and more of that kind of stuff, and less of those big kind of random, multi-million dollar, like 100, $200 million movies. You look at Lone Ranger, that did really bad. It wasn't terrible, but it did really bad. It just kind of shows you like these kind of things, there's a lot of less interest. So like these kind of CGI film movies, I think are going to kind of die down a little bit. My question is, what influences you to see a movie? Are you up for anything? Do you decide based on actors, directors, producers, or a buzz? You seem to have a wide range in taste in movies. Always curious if you like to watch everything, or do you actually have a preference? When it comes to like horror movies, those are the ones I try and see most of them. Some of like the really, really like micro budget ones, some of that, not too interested in them, but most of the time with them, I like to see them. There's certain ones too where I've heard a lot about them, or I've heard people like message me about them and saying how they recommend them, things like that. So that's kind of with some of them. But then there's a lot of like ones like people say like that they wouldn't think I would be interested in seeing. But I like to review a lot of different things and stuff, so I like to check out a lot of different stuff. So some movies I just sort of check out just to see, or people have asked me about it, things like that. But there's some that I really, really am interested in. But a lot of times it's by the trailers and things like that. The problem though with trailers though, especially lately and for the last couple of years, is they give so much away. Like I'm sure like that We Are the Millers movie, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But it's kind of like those trailers. There's so many damn ones of them showing so much stuff. I feel like is there going to be anything left? So that's kind of the problem. It's almost like sometimes I wish I didn't have to see some of these trailers and rather not watch them and just go to these things. And then you wouldn't have to know everything about them. Sometimes that's the best experience is when you really don't know much about a movie and you kind of get surprised by it. Sean, what was the rudest and most miserable person you met at a convention? What are your thoughts on The Burning coming to Blu-ray? Well, that tells you this is from a while ago. The rudest person, there's never really been anybody that rude. There's always been kind of people that you see at conventions that you can kind of tell are not really into it, or they're kind of just sort of either maybe they're not getting a lot of people to the booth or coming over. And you see that sometimes. You see some people who are kind of the more obscure people there, or the kind of people who are in stuff that only a certain amount of people would know. So they're kind of sitting there, no one's coming over to them, and they're kind of mad. You sometimes see people who are on their cell phones and talking to people while they're on their phones. That's always kind of a weird thing, especially, when you're paying somebody, they're sitting on their phone. I think that's kind of like, I don't think that should totally be allowed. I think texting is fine, but I think kind of talking and not getting off the phone, that's really the only thing I've noticed like that. People that don't look like they're really into the whole thing, are kind of maybe like they were brought into it, and it's not their bag. And those are the kind of people that you don't see come back again. Every so often you see people at conventions that are there like one time, and you don't see them again for a very long time. But then there's people who are really cool, and like to talk to people like, Ken Free, Sid Haig, who are kind of there having fun. And those are the kind of people I always like to talk to, and always cool to see, especially Ken, really nice person, definitely if you see him at a convention, talk to him. Like, those are the kind of people who really enjoy it and are doing it for fun. Love your channel. Can I ask, how many movie star autographs do you own, and which one is your favorite of all of them? Probably the Pee-wee autograph, because that was that was before he came back and did the character again, but at this point he came to Chiller and was signing as Pee-wee, so he was kind of in this stage of starting to come back and do Pee-wee again. That was one of the coolest ones, and that was the time when he did like maybe a few conventions, but then he came back with Pee-wee and then stopped doing them. So it was kind of a cool thing, and it was him and Miss Yvonne was there as well, so that was a pretty cool experience. I don't know, I probably have like maybe 100 or something. And I've gotten them just through Chiller, through the horror conventions, through the Hollywood show, and I'm not as like worried. Like sometimes I get them too, mainly if they have good pictures. Like, I'm never like that crazy about autographs. It's kind of like if they have a really cool picture or a cool still from the movie that I'd like to have on the wall and things like that, then I get it. Then there's some people, some people I just talk to, and other people you kind of feel like you gotta get an autograph just to talk to them. The one guy I just talked to who was at the Hollywood show, was one of my favorite weird characters in movies. The guy from Waterworld who did, and I believe he's in a lot of big shows and in some movies and things like that. But he was the guy who's like, paper, women for the paper for the women. Like, I don't know. I even talked to him about it, and he's like, now people ask me about doing that character, I'm not gonna do it. I was like, don't worry. Sean, what is the greatest inspiration ever? And I think that for a question I want to ask, since you do a lot of films, what locations do you often visit the most? Well, I've been to New Orleans twice, and that was cool because that was somewhere that I probably never would have got to if for the film, so that was really cool to go to. I've been in a lot of different places like Connecticut, New York, a bunch of different spots. What was greatest inspirations? I'm not sure about greatest inspirations, though. Are they movies you've seen 100 times? Well, there's some weird ones I've seen, that I watch a lot, like Day of the Dead. I watch that all the time. Probably watch that like once or twice a year. Really like that movie. Return of the Living Dead, Clifford the Martin Short movie. It's Pat. I know that's one of the worst of the movie list, but I like it. It's kind of those weird ones that I like, kind of like I may have a whole bunch of stuff to review or something, but I'm like, well, I just want to watch that again. And like some of those kind of ones that I watch a million times, like Ernest Goes to Camp. As a kid, I probably watched Ernest Scared Stupid a million times. Some of those ones, just like can watch a zillion times. You ever seen the Finnish horror film called Sana? Never seen that one. What kind of Swedish horror films have you seen? Offhand, I don't know, but I know I've seen some. You ever a film that was not really working, would you try and resolve it or just leave? Well, you could never leave if there's a contract or something. There's been like times, not recently though, but like some of the early ones where it wasn't really a great experience. You know what I mean? But you kind of just muscle through it. like some of the ones where I like traveled to places and was there for a couple of weeks. Like I said, it wasn't any of the ones in the last couple of years, but some of the ones before I had moved that I really did not love the experience. You know, like especially like one where it was, you know, boiling hot. And there's some experiences like I'm glad that one of those ones has come out, but just like some of that kind of stuff, it's kind of like, take it as a learning experience of how never to not to do things again. What do you think is the best kind of 3D TV? Well, I like the LG ones because you can wear the movie theater glasses, these types. You don't need the ones with the battery. I'm sure though that one is probably a little bit, the one with the batteries and the glasses might be a little bit better. But to me, like the one that looks like the same ones that are in the theaters to me is fine, and haven't had any major thing like that. What are your future goals with acting? Do you go to auditions for mainstream movies? Pretty much been doing everything myself. So it's kind of like if there's people that I want to work with, I get in touch with, contact them, send them my stuff. People have contacted me, but I'm sure at some point I'll do something mainstream. But I like doing the horror movies and stuff like that. And with that, there aren't too many that many big released horror movies anymore. But no, like that. I just kind of do this on ones I'm interested in, and the ones that kind of look exciting. Have you ever stolen a pen from a bank? I think some of those places like that have free pens you can take, like if they have like a container. But I don't think I've ever been like, oh yeah, I stole it on purpose. I know as a kid sometimes, some of those places that had like toys. I remember this one fabric store used to have these toys, and I think I remember taking one of the toys, and I remember being at this after school thing in kindergarten or preschool, and they had those rock toys. I think they were called like Rock Lords or something, and I was always trying to think of how to steal this toy, this rock. I remember as a kid, I kept on trying to think about it, and I never did. But I always wanted that toy because it was like one of those things you couldn't really find anywhere. And back then there was no eBay or anything like that. There was, Lionel Kitty City, which used to sell for some. I remember that store. I don't know if anybody ever been to one. They closed, I think, probably '91. But they used to always have toys. They were old, so I remember like as a kid, I broke the Pee Wee's Playhouse thing, and I was real upset about it. But luckily enough, Lionel Kitty City still had the thing, and they used to. I remember buying, the Jabba the Hutt Star Wars toy in the box, which probably now is really valuable. I should never have opened it, never would have known that kind of thing then. But I remember like seeing that kind of stuff there then, and there was no big market for that kind of stuff at that point. Or you never would have known, how rare some of those things were that you saw because they had stuff that was way older. Well, that was a message about people at conventions. So I talked about that a little bit. What is this? I always wondered. Hey Sean, I've been a fan for a long time. I always wanted something that I played on my business. I understand. Yeah, money questions don't really answer those. What is your favorite '90s movie? I don't know. I've done those videos on the top '90s ones. I don't think I have like a top number one favorite one. Favorite '80s movie theme song? I don't know. Like some of those ones are really hard because there's so many things that it could be. What's your opinion on the new Texas Chainsaw? Yeah, the new Texas Chainsaw one. I did not really like that one, and I don't know if they're going to still make. I think I saw they are making. I think they're going to be making the second part to it. Really didn't love that though. How do you like movies like The Exorcist and Sleepwalker? Really like The Exorcist. Not one that I watch a million times, but really do like it. Sleepwalker, I don't know if I've ever watched that. Why do you think? What do you think of the film Christine? That's a really good one. Would you cut your hair if you were asked to in a movie? Yeah, my hair was longer. When I broke my finger, I cut it like shorter. I really do like it longer though. But if for a movie or something, if it was something really good, worth it, I'd shave my head or whatever. If it was something really worth it. Do you know Simon Lechon? No. Um, if the unnatural one called you one day out of the blue and sincerely apologized, would you accept it? And would you continue being friends? I don't know. I don't even know if he has a phone anymore. I don't even know. He probably doesn't even remember my number. Where can I find a vlog referring to him? I don't even think about that anymore. Um, but like all the old ones, before I moved, if you were stuck in a room with a TV and were able to have 10 films to watch over and over, what would they be? Well, some of the ones that I said that I watch a lot, like Day of the Dead, um, you know, It's Pat, Clifford, just a lot of fun ones. Maybe like something like Mrs. Doubtfire. It would have to be ones that were really positive movies that you could watch a lot, you know, and you could find, and I guess maybe like, Back to the Future. I guess you could say that could count as one since it's a series. Um, Things like that, ones that you could really watch a lot. Probably Peeves Big Adventure. Back to the Future is one though that another one that when I was talking about ones that you watch a lot. That's one of those ones too. Like even though I have the Blu-rays and I've always had like copies of them, if they're on TV, I always find myself no matter where they are in the movie, I have to start watching them. Why have you stopped making around the town videos? I don't really say I've stopped making around the towns. Now it's more the DVD, Tuesday shopping videos, because that's more what I do now. Like the around the town thing, back when I was, in Maryland with the unmentioned one, it was kind of like, we only saw each other Fridays, and then it was kind of like, well, we wanted to make a video, so that was kind of like what we did Friday, which was going to the movies and things like that. But I really don't really know what else I'm be showing doing. You know what I mean? I like showing the shopping, and that's like kind of I feel like that's kind of the replacement. Because I only did those videos once a week. I try and do the shopping use probably every other Tuesday that I don't do the DVD update. And then when I go to like conventions and things like that, I always make sure to shoot something. At the horror conventions mainly. Comic Con. I did 3 different ones this year. Your second. Who was the topless chick in the picture behind you? Yeah, there's nobody topless in the picture. That's Marianne from Gilligan's Island. She's not topless. Second favorite hobby other than film. That's the thing with me. It's like kind of like film. I do everything film. You know what I mean? Like collecting movies, going to the movies. Acting in movies, all that kind of stuff. Like there's really not that much else that I'm really that interested in. Like maybe like um, some older toys and stuff, but there hasn't been really any cool toys. I used to like collect a lot of the movie toys that came out, but there's not that much of that anymore. And if you go to Toys R Us and stuff, they have like a real small section now. A lot of the times you have to order those online. Like the last toys that I got was the one from Comic Con that Jason that was in the video game packaging, and I ordered that cool alien, the 1978, the ones they were going to put out in the 70s, and then they decided not to. They kind of look like the old G.I. Joes. They're pretty cool. So those ones were like the last toy that I got. I just seen another best 80s video. Yeah, the thing with that is a lot of those would probably be the same. I might do another one, though, again, like on the top 80s ones. One of those reasons I don't do those as much is I hate taking all the movies off the shelves and mixing everything up. I don't know, like I hate doing that. Um, when did you first find your passion for movies? I think I was talking about that before, but like I said, that was early. I mean, I always, had VHSs, always had all that kind of stuff. So it was always, I don't think it was ever a certain movie. It was always just kind of what I was into, always into like, you know, getting toys from movies like the Ghostbusters and all that kind of stuff. Um, How often do you listen to music? Always listen to stuff in the car. A lot of like synth kind of music I always still like. That new Daft Punk music was really pretty good. That kind of music, a lot of electronic, a lot of like the kind of music like you heard in the movie Drive, that kind of stuff. Favorite band and singer. Um, I don't know. Like I listen to more current stuff than I used to. I will say that. You know, I used to kind of be a little bit weird when it came to that kind of stuff. I kind of got over a lot of that. Any actors that you would like to work with? Um, I guess some people that I really, really like, like some of the comedy actors and things like that. Like Seth Rogen, some of those kind of people would be cool to work with. A lot of the comedy people and like a lot of the classic kind of people. Um, no one like specific. It's always kind of find it cool too when you do a movie and stuff like that. And you don't know who the other people are, and you kind of get like a surprise, um, like Danny Trejo and stuff like that, when you don't know who's really going to be in them. Which movies do you wish you had a part in? Um, don't know. Describe how would you be if you were the bad guy in a horror movie? Probably just sort of crazy, but like not over the top because I hate that. People go totally nuts with it. I admit, like in the very early first everything I did, I was really over the top. People bring that up to this day. The I saw the Sasquatch one, but the thing with that one too was I didn't even go into it with that intention of doing it like that. They wanted it to be nuts and crazier and crazier, and that was like only the first thing I ever done. So, well, it's technically the second, but the first movie set. So I didn't even know, how to kind of hold it back and like know that I probably shouldn't have done it like that. And so that was kind of a learning experience. I will admit too, I don't do as much of that over the top as I did. Kind of got tired of that. But the bad guy would be. I would love to do something like way more serious. Kind of prove a couple people wrong too. You know what I mean? That have only watched the early things and don't look at the new things that I've done. What would you say is your favorite British horror comedy? Probably the one that comes right to mind right away is Shaun of the Dead, especially the movies that they do. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing that at World's End one. Um, how come do we have only prize? What do you think of Team America World Police and the fact that SpongeBob movie is getting a sequel? I didn't hear about that, about SpongeBob movie. I hope it would be great if Steve Hillenbrand came back. And, I think it was Steve Hillenbrand who was the original creator of SpongeBob. It would be great if they had him involved in it. There's like, when he left, the show kind of took a weird kind of turn, I thought. Team America, though, I like that. That was kind of one of those ones, it kind of came out, and after it came out, people kind of stopped talking about it. When and where did you start to act? It was in the movie Banshee. That was the first one. And that was in 2008. That was the first one. And then it was the Sasquatch movie. And then I don't remember what was next. I think it was Macabre Medicine, which who knows if that ever come out. And I think then 12/24. I think those were like the first four movies that I had ever done. And then like lately it's been like people I've become friends with and things like that. When was the last time you spoke to the Unmentionable one? Last time I saw him was in 2011, I think. 2011 in March or something like that. The last time I talked to him was April 2012, I think. Yeah, something like that. If I wanted an autograph from you, how could I get one? I don't have a system like that set up. A lot of people have asked about that. Need to figure something out for that. If you had to burn your entire movie collection except for 5 titles, what would they be? Well, I'd have to make sure I had insurance on the other ones first, because I would not want to burn them. So I don't even want to answer that. I don't know. Who is your favorite actor and actress? Which star did you have a crush on when you were a teen? Always really liked Christina Ricci. And, who else? Thora Birch. There's a lot of kind of weirder kind of people that I always kind of liked. Have you watched? I saw Thora Birch though at the. It kind of talks weird about her past movies. Like it's talking about Ghost World, and she was there at the screening going like indie bullshit. Kind of talks weird about it. Like I don't know why she talks about it the way she does, because it's kind of like, well, that was I thought that and American Beauty were her most known ones. Have you ever watched Avatar: The Legend of the Aang? The anime series, not the movie. No, I've never seen that. Favorite Samuel L. Jackson movie. My favorite part with him, with a really, really great line was the end of Unbreakable. That one I really really loved that. But yeah, like favorite movies with him. Also really liked him recently in Django Unchained. Thought he was really really good in that. Um, how would you feel about a Slumber Party Massacre remake? It'd be interesting to see them do something like that now. I kind of wonder if they would set it in the 80s or now, though. If you could make a film in another country, which country would you like to be? Like I said, anywhere in the UK would be really pretty cool. Um, and, it'd be interesting to do like the Eli Roth one he did in South America, like that kind of one. Kind of scary though. Um, like in the jungle where cannibals and stuff are, or where they, certain parts, you could wander into it. Um, hey, would you ever come to Australia and do a meetup? Um, well, if maybe for a movie or something. But that would be really cool, though. That's another place that I would like to go to, especially like this. Really love, Angry Boys and those kind of that Australian series. What is your favorite type of horror film? As a kid, mine was Hocus Pocus. I guess you could kind of say The Witches was one, but that was one I used to always see all the time. You know if there's a Scream 5 in the works? I think they're doing a Scream TV series for MTV. I want to say I love all the films you've been in lately. I recently seen President's Day. Absolutely loved it. Anyway, my question is, how much do you usually get paid? That you can't really talk about. But it's not bad though for some movies. Um, there's not. Your family seems to really enjoy taking part in your videos. Is that true? Yeah, it's never really that problem. It's like I try and get them in some of the ones, where certain movies if we all go to them together and stuff, but we don't always all go to the movies together. A lot of times I go on Thursdays with my brother and go to the movies because that now they've started putting movies out all the time on Thursdays or the day before they come out, like the night before. Looking forward to Insidious 2. Really am. Wet Movie 1, got to see it months ago. Was really lucky to get to see it, like an early screenings of it. One last thing, I've never seen you talk about Lost as one of my favorite shows. Yeah, I for some reason have never seen that. And I don't know how I never saw it, but I never did. Ever seen Spirited Away, Gattaca, or the movie Kids? Yeah, I like all those ones. I don't watch as much, but really like Spirited Away. Recently watched Gattaca again. That's a really good one. Got done watching the Firefly series. This amazing series. Can't believe it took me over a decade to discover it. No, never seen that one. Also, do you watch Dexter? Dexter, you excited for this final season? Yeah, I watched Dexter in the beginning and then kind of lost, sometimes like I would get, kind of lose track and things like that with certain shows. Can you please do more videos in your movie room? I will at some point. The problem with doing the movie room is I cannot, same with my room, I can't turn on the air conditioner. I have like one above my bed, right above where this is right now, and I have one in the movie room, and it gets so hot, especially during the summer when you don't put them on. So that's the problem with, especially in the movie room, it gets like boiling in there at certain times of the year. Luckily enough, though, it's not been that bad like right now. But there's certain times when it was like really bad, and that's why I don't really do it in there. It's also a little bit hard to light in the movie room. Can you recommend a good region-free Blu-ray player, DVD player? That I kind of need to know that myself. With that, I never had a lot of luck with that. At the one convention I go to, the one guy's always trying to sell this like $200 one. I'm like, I don't want to carry that around the convention, but I don't know. I'm sure there's got to be like one of those cheap like $50 ones that you can put a code in. Like there used to be one on DVD that was like a DVD player, which was like $20, and you just put in a code like 123, and it would make it region free. Um, any advice for a first time movie reviewer? Um, I don't know. Like I guess for video like things like I've kind of learned it's better to make them not too long. Like you don't want to make them much longer than 5 minutes because it seems like with those kind of videos, people don't like them when they're really long. Um, that's the main like thing I've noticed is like shorter. Um, I notice too when people are like really negative about a movie, it gets more attention. Never like to be really negative though, but I know like if you kind of stir up something about it, I notice those ones always get a lot more attention. Um, What's your favorite scene in the Evil Dead remake? I don't know if there was a favorite scene. I would say like the blood rain was really very cool. But I think this movie as a whole, I really thought it was just really successful one. Besides San Diego Comic Con was the best convention you've been to. Um, probably Monster Mania was one of my favorite other ones. Chiller I really liked, but Monster Mania, especially in the beginning, early on, like I remember there was another one that I went to and I really liked it because no one was at it. It was called CreepCon. They only had it 1 year. And it was in Maryland, and I remember there was people there that I really wish that I would have gotten autographs from. Like Warwick Davis was there. He doesn't seem to do them anymore. Brad Dourif was there. Plays Chucky. He doesn't do them anymore. Lucky enough, I got him to sign something. But there was all kinds of people there. That was one I really liked. Um, do you have any advice for getting involved in acting? Do I need to join an agency? Um, and I live in the UK. I don't think you have to. I think it's all about like, finding things. I think it's best to have some examples. Like if you never have done anything before, it's good to have some examples of yourself online. And maybe like do some reenactments or things like that. What do you miss most about living on the East Coast? Not that much anymore. When I really think about it, like the longer I'm away, the little less and less I think about, you know, much I miss there. More things I miss or things that I missed when I was there that are gone. Kind of crazy, but it was like things that I used to like there that they got rid of. Here it's a little bit different because I don't only been here for 3 years, so I don't know things that were here 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's not a lot of, like, oh, I really miss when this was here. I mean, years from now, I'll sure have that kind of a feeling. Do you still have your pogs? I still do have them. You're embarrassed when Wet One was acting like your boyfriend when you were getting on the train. Yeah, that always is weird when he does that kind of stuff. But that's sort of his comedic styles, I guess. How do you like working with David Sterling? Yeah, David Sterling is a good friend of mine. Always fun to work on his movies, and he's just somebody that one of the first people that I, met from out here, because I met him when I was at Comic Con, like 2009, and like it was just one of those like the first people and someone I just consider a really good friend. Um, oh yeah, the second, awesome. Yeah, will you do a draw your life? Not really that good at drawing though, and some of those ones are so technical and well done. I guess I would have to get one of those dry erase boards and do it. Can you make films with friends and still get them on Amazon? I mean, if you do a film, you could get them on Amazon through CreateSpace. Um, so you could make just a regular, like, $10 movie that had no budget, as long as it was like, I think 30 minutes. You could put them on CreateSpace and it goes on Amazon, and you can also put it up for streaming. So that's a really good way if you want to just, and I've even seen some bigger movies like that. I think though, I don't know, like I think with certain movies though, you want to try and get them to studios though. I mean, if it's like one that you spent more than like, upwards of like 10 grand or, something like that, you want to try and get them to the studios, and you also want to try and sell them in other countries because that's where all the money comes from. Um, at recent convention, who was your favorite celebrities to meet? Who was one of the most recent ones? Um, I met Dan Franklin from Bill and Ted and Last American Virgin recently. That was pretty cool. Christy McNichol, who was in Little Darlings, that was very cool to see her. Um, Also, how often you get recognized? Kind of peculiar times, like sometimes at like drive-throughs or at the sub shop and things like that. People are like, I think I saw you in this movie on this and that kind of thing. The most is at horror conventions. Like at the Days of the Dead when I was there with Brendan, like that was like a couple dozen people. Like places like that are the most where it happens the most. Like certain places, especially because I do a lot of horror reviews and I've been in some indie horror movies and things like that. That is where the most people that would know me are at. Um, those, like I said, those are the kind of the main places. Comic-Con, it's so busy. You know, a couple different times at Comic-Con, but never as much as the horror conventions. Can you make film? What was that? Are you a fan of horror movies? I haven't seen tons of them, but I have been watching a bunch of them though recently. Did you see the Catching Fire trailer? I thought it looked good. Um, I'm not as excited about it as I was with the first one. I really liked the concept of the first one. But I still think it looks like it should be pretty good, though. How'd You Meet Wet May 1 from YouTube, just from, I think he commented on one of my videos or sent me some of his stuff. And then I had this weird contest where it was like impersonate Don Murphy, and he made this funny video, which I don't know if I ever see it again. I don't know if he has it anywhere. But it was him playing Don Murphy, and he did like split screen, and really always loved that video. But I don't know what happened to it. You ever seen the movie Superstition, aka The Witch? No. Any type of role or character you refuse to play in a movie? I don't know, as long as it was a character that had like a point. You know what I mean? If it was like a terrible kind of character, if it was like in something, worth it or something, I think I wouldn't have a problem with it. There might be some stuff that I really wouldn't like doing in it or something. Um, Favorite 80s film? It's always hard to say for sure. In that opinion of the movie Drive, really did like that one. I need to see On Demand That Only God Forgives at some point. I'm definitely going to watch that. Ever consider making any non-movie related videos? I don't know what they would be. If anybody knows, let me know, but I don't know what they would be. It's a good question, though, but I don't know what I would do. Is there any chance to review... What is it? Oh, did it... Sometimes people comment back to things. What made you decide you wanted to be an actor? I mean, I always liked doing, YouTube videos and doing characters and things like that. So it was always kind of something that I wanted to do, but didn't know how to get into. And then once I got into the first, like, 2 ones, then I had a credit, and then it kind of helped to get into things. Have you ever been to West Virginia? I was in West Virginia for the movie Zombie Babies. Do you have any movies from Denmark? I'm sure I do. Any chance of a Don Murphy reunion? Not a reunion, but maybe at some point I'll do the character again in some concept. Sean, I've heard you, in some other videos you like child stars like Corey Haim, Macaulay Culkin. What's your opinion on Eddie Furlong? Do you like him, and do you think he has a chance to come back? I know he's got a lot of problems and things like that, but I've always liked Eddie Furlong. I really loved, Terminator and Brain Scan, and there's this one really ridiculous one coming out that hopefully it comes out here, like the Zombie King with him and Corey Feldman. I mean, it looks really bad, but for some reason I really want to see that one. I don't know about a comeback. I know the problem with Eddie Furlong is getting insurance. That's why he couldn't do the third Terminator movie. So I don't know. It might be kind of hard for him to have like a major comeback. Well, we're at 48 minutes, so I guess that's all for this one. But anyway, though, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Still got... Well, I still have a couple questions left. So I don't know how long the next one will be, but I'll get those in the next one. So anyway, though, guys, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing. I'll see you guys later. Bye.